Hi, I'm Nate Flax.
I'm Noah Longworth-McGuire.
And this is Talking Lion.
Talking Lion is a podcast focused on artist-to-artist conversations.
We're primarily artists, a duo called Sleeping Lion. And throughout our career as songwriters and producers, we've had the opportunity to work with so many incredible rising artists.
Talking Lion is about hitting record on the conversations we've had with our musical friends and collaborators to get a glimpse into what their life's been like and where it's going.
A few reminders before we start.
Firstly, we now have a Patreon for fans of the show to show their support and help keep the show going.
As a Patreon subscriber, not only will you earn rewards, but you'll also gain exclusive access to a chat room in our Discord server.
Here you can talk with us and even suggest questions for our guests.
Go to patreon.com/talkinglion to subscribe.
We appreciate your support.
As we mentioned, we also have a Discord server that's become a sort of community hub for Sleeping Lion and Talking Lion. We're very active on there and very eager to talk to you about who you are on the show and how you feel about the new episodes, as well as just talking about life.
So yeah, come through and you can talk with us. You can make some new friends, share your art, and share your memes.
Go to sleepinglionmusic.com/discord to join our server.
We hope to see you there.
Lastly, our face is on a shirt. We have shirts now for Talking Lion with our faces on them. If you want to wear us on your shirt, buy a shirt. It helps support the show and it shows your friends that you like Sleeping Lion and Talking Lion.
You can find these shirts on our website, sleepinglionmusic.com/store. Pro tip. Patreon supporters of the honorary Lion tier or higher will get a free shirt.
Now back to the show.
We recorded this episode with our new friend, Alexa Cappelli.
We first connected with Alexa through her manager/brother, but this was the first time we got a chance to chat in person.
We recorded this a few months after the release of her single, Say Something.
Brimming with immense talent, an entrepreneurial spirit, and a crazy voice to match, Alexa Cappelli is pushing the boundaries with every song she puts out. Between jokes and talks of philosophy, this is one of our favorite episodes. So,
without further ado,
I'm Alexa Cappelli, and this is Talking Lion.
well, hey.
hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
As we've been doing, we had like turns out we know like a million people.
I know.
That we all know.
My favorite thing.
It's my favorite. I mean, on this show, it winds up crazy how this works. The more episodes we've done, the more we happen to have mutual friends.
Yes.
It's almost like the more people you know, the more
people you know.
you know.
Wow. Crazy.
Crazy how that
I
works.
love that.
It's like math. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. How's your day going so far? We're like midday. This is as midday as you can get.
Yes, it's pretty warm out, so I mean, I could go for a nap, I feel like, about this time of day. But maybe that's just because it's a little bit hotter than this week has been. So anyways, that's enough about the weather. I'm good. My day's been great.
We just small talk. You were just like, yeah. Oh,
we
yeah.
just tangent for a minute about the
Tell
weather.
me about tell me how you're emotionally doing. Well, the weather is really nice, you know?
No, I'm good. It's been a good day. How about you guys?
Yeah.
I could use a nap.
I could probably use a nap. This is around the time of day when I want to take a nap.
Right.
We did something terrible today, which is we recorded a TikTok.
I love it. I love TikTok.
It scares me. I'm old.
Well, it's funny because it's like you have to do it now. And so I've been telling myself I enjoy it. Even if I don't enjoy it sometimes where I feel like I don't really want to make a TikTok right now. I'm like, no, I want to like making TikToks. So it's like a mind game of telling myself.
There's something like Faustian and hellish about somebody like dead-eyed going, I like this.
Me.
This is good.
I would much rather just not be on social media sometimes, like just throw my phone away, but duty calls.
I have this weird love-hate relationship with sosh meed.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, are you on sosh
Sosh
meed?
mead.
It's I think it's a college humor joke. Because I think, yeah, on the one side, I think there's the part of my brain that like just wants to like fuck off to a cabin and never talk to anybody like ever again. And there's part of me who does want to know everybody who has ever had a creative thought in their brain. Like, doesn't matter the medium.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those two things are always warring. And one of them is just like, how did we devolve as a society into this weird kind of like put your life in a box and sell it? And then there's other part of my brain that's just like, what if I put my life in a box and sold it?
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of songs about that now, which is fun because it's like the juxtaposition of hearing a song about not being on my phone, but then I have to listen to the song on my phone. It's just funny how things like that happen.
And it's getting promoted on TikTok.
And yeah, exactly.
Almost like we have layers and layers of irony to the point where we can't realize what's true anymore.
Yeah. My gosh. But
Everything is designed to sell us Starburst. That's what I
elaborate on that. I haven't heard
berries
that
and
one.
cream.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny because I don't think I was ever on the original Berries and Cream TikTok, but I was on like the peripheral Berries and Cream TikTok. So like I had like the jokes about Berries and Cream, but never actually saw the original TikTok or whatever it came from. I don't even know.
I feel like we don't talk enough about ripple trends, like
Yes.
like the trends that develop off of trends, and sometimes you don't know if you found the original trend or you found the trend on the trend of the trend.
Yes.
Which I think is a specifically hellish problem.
Yeah. Whenever I do stumble upon the original video of whatever trend has been going on, I have to check the comments and be like, wow, this is like a gem. I actually found something organically. It came on my For You page instead of like trying to find, an original video or something.
And it's so hard to find stuff on TikTok because it's not meant to be like search. It's not meant to be like archived, even though it's all archived sitting on a server somewhere. Like you can't, it's really hard to search by like topics or categories or like, even if you know the creator, every like popular creator on the app is creating every day. So if they did something 4 months ago, you have to scroll to find that thing that they did 4 months ago.
Yeah, or unless it randomly pops up on your For You page because the algorithm is just whack. So then like sometimes you'll get videos from 4 months ago and it's like, this is not even relevant. And then I know some people whose like For You pages are a few months behind.
Right.
And so like they're talking about this trend and I'm like, we're way past that. I'm so sorry.
Well, I think scrolling on TikTok is almost like watching like live improv because it's kind of like, obviously when you're watching live improv, there's this sort of transience about it. Like it's not going to be recorded. Like you're watching whatever happens and they don't know what's happening and you don't know what's happening. And it's just sort of on the cuff. But yeah, you watch a video and then you're like, yes, and you watch a video. Yes. And then eventually like you've constructed this 30-minute version of entertainment for yourself. That's a blend of current events, trends, good music. It's a variety show at your fingertips that you're just improvising.
30 minutes. That's impressive. I've gone for much longer than 30 minutes, but
I thought you were about to be like 30 minutes, you degen. Like,
no, the opposite. I'll scroll for hours if no one stops me sometimes.
I mean, yeah. I play video games, so I feel like at least I've already like given my addiction to something. Like I know the argument could be made like, okay, you could be addicted to video games and you could be addicted to TikTok, but I feel like I've kind of put myself in this place of like I will either play 2 hours between midnight and 2 a.m. of Overwatch, or I'm going to scroll on TikTok and that's, I'm just more disciplined than you fuckers. I'm just built different. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
Built different. Dang. Yeah, no, social media is weird. I feel like it's so funny for me. Some days I have this really good, like, protected mental state where I'm like, okay, I'm going on social media to, innocently look at people's posts or whatever, or comment or support people or post something myself. And then other times it's just out of a habit. I find myself on my phone on Instagram. How did I even get here? I don't even remember why I came on this app. It's just out of habit now. And a lot of times those are the moments where I start comparing or I start like overthinking about maybe I should be doing this. And it's just really interesting. I have to be intentional with the time that I spend on social media. Otherwise, my brain goes off the deep end sometimes, and that's just how it is now, I guess.
I feel like at this point, watching the TikToks that our friend group sends us is in and of itself a full-time job.
Keeping up
with all the content. I don't know. There's just something about it for kind of the reasons we're talking about. Like I have a hard time. The hard time I have with social media is that I'm not currently in the habit of creating content for it.
Got it.
And I sort of have been in and out in various phases, but I'm not very good. I have never been very good at building the habit. But it is this deep pit in my soul of like, you piece of shit. You should be a content creator. Like you should be like the only way to do this job is to be a content creator. And I'm doing other things for money that take up my time. And every time I open up social media, there's a little part of my brain that's like you're not doing the thing you're supposed to be doing. So when people send me TikToks, even that is like, there's times when I'm just like, I don't want to engage with
the little
content.
voice in your head. Yeah.
I don't want to engage with content because engaging with content will trigger the little voice in my head that makes me hate myself.
What he doesn't realize is that little voice in his head is actually me under his bed whispering. And all this time, it's been like the telltale heart. Like he doesn't know.
Oh my
He
gosh.
doesn't know that
Yeah.
really it's been me the whole time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's just so funny because, like I said before, it's like comparison. You know, like you didn't even think about posting something or even have the desire to post something, and then you go on social media, and all of a sudden you're like, I need to post something.
Right.
I need to post something because they're posting this and they're getting all these likes and comments. And that's what I was saying before. If I'm not intentional with, my time, okay, I'm going to go on social media for this specific thing, then it's like an endless pit. And then all of a sudden, again, hours have gone by. And
Yeah.
comparing myself.
Social media makes you. I can't stop saying social media. Social media makes you want shit that you didn't even know that you want, that you don't want. Like I'm from New York. Like I think that Times Square is the worst place you could find yourself. Like if a demon teleported me to what I would consider the worst place I could find myself at like 3 p.m. on a Friday, he would pop me in right in the middle of Times Square. And yet every time I see somebody have that little like Times Square
post on Instagram with their
I'm
face on a
like I
billboard.
want it.
Yeah.
But I don't. But it looks so great, on Instagram, And then I'm a piece of shit who's never had a Times Square billboard.
Right.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's so true. So true. Yeah, I find myself saving posts and I'm like, I want to post like this. And it's like something like that where it's like, well, something else has to happen before that even happens. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that's enough. That's enough social media for me today. I can't do anymore.
I think as an act of rebellion, we should all go back to just posting the food we eat.
Yeah.
I have a private Instagram for that. And all my friends are like, whenever I'm not as active on it, my friends are like, Alexa, where's your food post?
Wait, that's
and I'm
really
like,
funny. I have
dang it.
my Finsta has a food column.
Love
It's
that.
just every third picture is just like something that I'm eating.
Oh, like you've created it so it's like
It's
every...
my Finsta is 3 columns.
That's so good.
It's like food memes and life.
I love that.
Your Finsta is Alexa cannoli. You just post cannolis.
That's great.
That my dad would be proud if
Alexa
I had enough
Cappelli.
pictures. If I had enough pictures of cannolis to actually post and make an account based off of that, that'd be funny.
I want a cannoli now.
I had a cannoli, I think, for the first time, and I was like 7 or 8. Haven't had one in a while. Cannolis are bomb.
They're great.
Yeah.
I had one.
I have to talk about
2 weeks
cannolis now.
ago. I had one 2 weeks ago in Little Italy in
my
San
gosh.
Diego. I felt very good about that
Awesome.
that decision and the choices that led me there.
Okay.
My path led me to the
I'm
perfect.
very curious about these choices that led you to the
cannoli?
cannolis at Little Italy.
Well, it all started in New York, 1996. My parents meet on a street corner.
Oh my gosh.
Well, speaking of being born, how did your parents meet? No,
They actually, it's so funny because you think about like online dating right now and like, the culture of swiping right. I meant right as in a question mark, like right, what I'm talking about?
swiping
Not,
right, yeah.
not right or left, but that
Yeah.
too. My parents actually met at like a dating place. It wasn't like it is now, obviously, but like you had to like walk in and you made a video of yourself and then you had like a page or something in like a book and people were like, I don't know, this is about
Like
I
a
don't know.
matchmaker.
Yeah, something like that.
people
kinda.
didn't realize that Tinder used to just be a big bonfire that everybody would.
Oh my gosh, imagine. That'd actually be sick.
Bumble was a beehive that everybody would just circle around.
Everyone just shows up. No, and it's so funny whenever they talk about this. My mom went in one day and she saw my dad watching her video, and she's like, "Nope, I gotta go." And then she leaves, and then he ends up calling her or something like that. Went on a few dates, and the rest is history. And now I'm here.
Wow.
That's
So-
awesome.
That's a really
Yeah.
fun story, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to it. My parents are great, though. I'm really thankful for them and how hard they work, and even to have us, my brother and I, was a lot. My mom wrote a whole book about like her journey with infertility and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff
wow.
too. And so, yeah, I'm just really, really proud of them, and I'm grateful for the way that I grew up too.
Well,
so.
and we met you in a lot of ways through your brother as well, who's
Mhm.
in music and entertainment on the business side.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool that they. I mean, I was asking the question as a joke, and I'm just so happy that we got a
Yeah.
real answer. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
But were you born? You were born out here.
Yeah, I grew up in the Inland Empire, so like Upland, California, if you're familiar with where that is.
Wait, the Empire of.
Inland. It's called the Inland Empire. It's like Orange County, LA County.
I was like, is that like the area?
It's like San Bernardino County, but it's like a group of cities. People call it the Inland Empire.
Inland
Isn't that fun?
Empire.
That is fun.
It's kind of empowering, not gonna lie.
I'm still sorry. I'm still caught up on the empire part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I didn't really ever think about it that way until just now, as you guys are being baffled by it.
The sun always sets on the Inland Empire.
That's where I grew up, and then I actually went to high school in Orange County.
Okay.
And then now I live in LA County, so it's just been all over the place.
Where did the music bug come from?
My dad actually was, he still is, but was a musician, more focused in on it, at least growing up. And then when they had me, I could kind of carry a tune. My mom noticed. She signed me up for voice lessons because she noticed I couldn't do anything sport related. I was always the girl like picking flowers in the outfield, like not paying attention at all.
What baseball teams don't realize is that if you take a perfect blade of grass, you can cut it in half, and then you can cut that in half to make quarters effectively. I just think that, like, you know, we were as kids, like, you know, on our baseball teams, you know, chastised for being in the outfield picking the grass.
Yes.
But what they don't realize is that you can take a blade and cut it in half and cut it into corners and then cut those into eighths, and it's so nice.
That is actually a better sport than baseball.
And then you can tie them all together and make little flower crowns or bracelets. And
Right.
then you can make a whole business out of it, selling them to your friends for a quarter, and then all of a sudden you have enough for a popsicle at the end of the day.
This is why she has more streams than us.
Right.
Yeah.
We were dividing up our blades of grass just to sprinkle them in our friends' faces.
Yeah.
But she was over here making a fucking business.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
We were pranksters. She was a goddamn entrepreneur. This is why she's in an empire and we're in a park.
It's so funny. Yeah, my friends and I would always do that. I mean, even growing up, like on the playground during recess, we'd always like, you know, those like those typical flowers you see. Like, you know, like those playground grass
The
flowers.
honeysuckles?
I don't know what they're called, but if you saw one, you would know what it looked like. You would know what it is.
They have a little... fuck.
They look like, you know, in Here's Who on Seussical, the musical, not whatever the movie is. And they have like the puff.
Dandelions?
Dandelions?
No, not those. Those two. We made a lot of things.
The other ones are
You're
honeysuckles.
very crafty. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay, yeah.
I'll have to Google it later and make
Yeah.
sure. So then I started voice lessons when I was 7. So my mom signed me up. The worship leader at the church that I grew up at was giving voice lessons. They had like a really good arts program at the church. And so I signed up for that, started falling in love with it. I was pretty shy as a kid. My family would argue differently. With them, I was kind of feisty and like sassy and everything. But then with other people, I was just kind of quiet and shy. So then that really helped me kind of get out of my shell. I did musical theater for a little bit.
Oh, a recovering theater kid like us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What
and
what shows were you in?
Oh my gosh. My first show was Seussical the Musical, now that I think about it. No, it wasn't. It was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Whoa.
I was
That's a good one, too.
I was an ensemble member. So I did that one, and then I did Beauty and the Beast. My brother also did musical theater for a little bit. He was LeFou in Beauty and the
nice.
Beast. He was like
Nice.
Gaston sidekick. And then I did Willy Wonka.
I was in Willy Wonka.
I was Veruca. That one was fun.
I was Grandpa Joe.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Got your
I
little
love that.
dance. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's really
When did
funny.
you guys, or when did you start? Both of you? Both of you musical theater?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sick.
Yeah.
How long did you guys do that for?
I did it off like starting in middle school.
Okay,
The
same.
first thing I did was I was the rabbi in Fiddler on the Roof in the 7th grade.
Okay.
And then just did every play for every year that followed. I did Sweeney Todd in 10th grade. And the other one the other musicals we did were like really obscure. We did a musical called The Boyfriend that was like from the 50s about the 20s. And then we did a Northern English musical called Blood Brothers about two brothers who were like separated at birth. Like we did weird musicals because our musical teacher just like, well, it was one, what we could get the rights to, and two,
Right.
our musical teacher was just like into weird stuff. But we did Sweeney Todd, and
That's great.
we did Fiddler, and I'm trying to think what the other mainstream one we did. Oh, we did Grease. That was Eugene
okay,
in
cool,
Grease.
cool.
That was fun.
I love Grease. That was one of my favorite movies growing up. My brother and I would always watch it, like on long road trips. We'd have
Mhm.
like the car TVs in the back, like of the front seats. We'd always watch Grease and what was the other one? I don't know. Continue.
So my mom's actually a theater teacher.
Oh my gosh,
So,
sick. Okay.
At the camp I went to, she like was the drama counselor,
Mhm.
and then in my high school and middle school, she was also like helped out with the drama club as well. And at our temple, she also did theater there. So she
Cool.
was like all over the place. And so yeah, like at camp, I was in Willy Wonka as Grandpa Joe. In Temple, I don't remember. I think I was just there. Maybe I was just an ensemble. Imagine getting cast as ensemble by your mom.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Wow.
That's how
a
you
sick
that's
burn.
that's how you
Dang.
know that your mom doesn't think you're a good singer.
Oh my gosh.
It's like no, and then in the school, I was in Thoroughly Modern Millie, and I was in Greece as well as Duty, which is awesome because my crush was Frenchie.
Oh my gosh.
So we got to do a little song and dance together.
Ideal.
My crush was Rizzo in Greece, and there was a scene at the
Ooh.
dance where she got to push me up against a wall, which was very fun for little 8th grade Noah.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was in a chorus line in school.
Cool.
So nothing as cool as Sweeney, and never a lead, you know?
Hmm.
Which is, I think, how I've been able to not crave validation as much as my other theater counterparts.
Hmm.
Mm.
That's my edge. I only crave it as much as a side character can crave it.
Oh gosh. Dang.
Yeah, I got the lead in every show starting in 8th grade, pretty much.
So you've never been happy since?
I've never been happy since. It was literally my peak. And
Oh my-
and now
oh my
the added
gosh.
layer is that was like my pretty much my one successful TikTok was that joke. The
Put a finger down if you're
A recovering theater kid who never got over that one time in the 10th grade when you got the lead role, you were the center of attention. But now everything you do is just a constant fucking struggle for validation.
What was a TikTok you guys made today?
Oh, we were just doing like a car leak of we wrote a spooky song called Casper about
Uh-huh.
friendly ghosting.
Heck yeah.
So we did like just a car leak that is totally like our label would hate it.
right.
Oh.
We don't have a label.
One of those. Got it.
I so badly want to do a car leak video, and it's just like this song has everything. It's about loss. It's about love. It's about religion. It's about people. And then it's just like I can't wait to show you guys. And then it goes like, look at all the lonely people. Just want to leak Eleanor Rigby.
We should leak Eleanor Rigby. That should be our next video.
That's so imagine the comments being like, wow, I can't believe you guys wrote this. People would actually buy it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
people
Like
be
Gen
like,
Z now is just like,
Yeah.
oh
Oh
my
my God.
gosh, just like rediscovering songs that have, yeah, it's just funny.
they're like, who's Eleanor Rigby? I don't know. Google it.
Google it.
So
Yeah.
good. What was it? Oh,
What
the
were
original
you-
question was music. How did I get
Yeah.
into
So
music?
okay. Yeah. So you were a
Yes.
musical. You were
So I did
a
musical
musical.
theater, and then I went to the arts high school that I fell in love with songwriting at, and it was really fun. It was a big commitment because the school was an hour from my parents' house, so like we commuted every day. I was in like a fun, funky little carpool that was nice because my parents didn't have to drive me every day, which was good for them. But yeah, and then my senior year, I was on The Voice, and that was really fun. And then I started releasing music the following year. So it's been a journey, but it's always kind of been there, just kind of happened, you know?
My research is shit today. I didn't know you were on The Voice.
Yeah.
Well, that's so. Is that how? Did you meet Jackie on that?
Yes, we were roommates on the show.
They were
wow.
roommates.
Yes.
They were roommates.
They
That's
were
so
roommates.
Yeah, they
That's
had
so
like
funny.
doubled this up with people on the show.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
How was your experience on that?
it was
show?
really fun. I definitely learned a lot more about myself than I did about singing or like music or the industry, you know?
It's not about the competition. It's about the friends you make along the way.
Yeah,
You know.
honestly, the people were the best part. I mean, everything else was great too, but I mean, the lasting impact was getting to stay connected with people that also went through that with you. And even now, like, there's friends that I have that are on current seasons, and it's just cool to be able to be a part of a giant family, even if you weren't on the same season as someone, or like even if you didn't make it as far. It's just really cool to have like that similar experience with people.
That's really lovely, though.
Yeah.
Um,
It was fun. I mean, I was still in high school. It's interesting looking back. If I could do things differently, I might now change some stuff, or like change songs that I did or my wardrobe or whatever, just because the kind of sound that I had in my senior year of high school wasn't as developed as it is now. And that's just because of time and just experience and getting to work with new people. I had never worked with a producer. I had never like co-written before, and I had never done all that stuff, even though, well, I'd co-written in high school, but it was more for projects and it wasn't like for me as much as I would have liked it to be. But yeah, I learned a lot from the show.
What kind of
and-
songs were you doing on the show? Again, I should have caught it on my research and I
No,
didn't. I'm
you're
sorry.
good.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I don't talk about it as much anymore, but I did a song called The Music in Me for my...
I got the music in me. That
No,
one? No.
it's by the Kiki D Band. How does it go? Feel funky, feel good, gonna tell you. It's by the Kiki D Band. It's kind of older, and my parents were like, this would be a great song for you. I had sung it for a showcase at the high school that I went to, and I had already known it, and that's kind of like, I was in the classic rock-ish type of genre, and part of me was like, oh, I really like this kind of music because it's good music, and the other part of me just didn't know what I wanted, and so I sounded good on these songs, and so I sung them, instead of me going, what is the lasting genre or impact
That's
that I want
gonna,
to have?
yeah.
You know,
How far did you make it along in the show?
At top 24.
Okay, I'll do
Yeah.
it. What was it like at such a young age, suddenly having all that attention on you?
It was interesting. I think it was interesting because I didn't really acknowledge a lot of it, so it just kind of happened, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making friends and like having people like my voice or they like the song that I did, and it was honestly, I think the most surreal part was seeing one of the songs be number 1 on one of like the Apple Music charts.
Oh,
I think it
yeah.
was, I sang a song called It Hurts So Bad by Susan Tedeschi, and it was like number 1 on the blues charts for like a hot minute. And I was like, that's insane. Like, that's really crazy. But yeah, I am really grateful. And I still have some fans that watch the show that are still supporting me now and still, DM me and talk to me and are genuinely interested in encouraging me in my career. So it's been, overall, it was a really good experience. And I'm just happy to be growing and have people come along.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And then, of course, like, community can't be overlooked. Like Jackie, in a lot of ways, we know you because of Jackie. Not directly meeting, but just the fact that, Jackie is in our world and our sort of sphere of mutual friends. And then, I think that I probably first heard you from something she posted or something like that.
I could not say enough good things about Jackie.
I mean, she's
such
the
a sweetheart.
best. Yeah. And also just a crazy, crazy singer.
Oh, so good. Insane.
Stopping the podcast to shout out one of our sponsors, The Truffleist. Noah, you like to cook.
I do like to cook.
You're actually very good at cooking.
I'd say I'm decent.
But I think that the thing about cooking that you have taught me is that flavor is everything.
Truly.
You got to bring in little flavors that you wouldn't expect. And one of my favorite flavors is the taste of truffles.
A great flavor.
But we are so lucky to have the Truffleist as a sponsor for Talking Lion. Founded by Jimmy Coons and based in Long Island City, Queens, the Truffleist creates artfully handcrafted truffle products of the highest quality and flavor.
While their truffles are imported from the countrysides of Italy, France, and Spain, they proudly source many of their base ingredients locally from small farms and artisanal producers.
They offer a variety of truffle products, from truffle oil and truffle butter to truffle salami and honey to even truffle hot sauce.
I love truffle hot sauce.
They've also recently launched cheesesteaks by the Truffleist, so keep an eye out for pop-ups in your area. So bring the taste of truffle into your life. You can use the code LionPod15 for 15% off your order through October 31st.
Now back to the show.
But also, I mean, yeah, the other thing, the post-voice world, your music, your original stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I love your music. Like,
Thank
we
you.
were rocking out to it, like, since your brother first, got in touch with us, or we got in touch with your brother. I don't remember how all this came to be. But Forbidden specifically, and I'm not the only one it resonated with, but that song, like, is nutso from a writing perspective.
Thank
I
you.
really, really love it.
Now I'm midnight driving, wondering if I should have let you lean in. Feel the gravity pulling on our skin. Are you even worth it if I lose a friend? Should we stay forbidden?
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that was like the first song that got some traction. Thankfully, again, to TikTok. I know we talked about TikTok so many times
Ting
today.
Tonk, yeah.
Yeah, but
Sosh meed.
I released a small baby EP the year after I was on the show. And it's so funny too, because the person I am now is so different than the person I was then. And of course, like I learned a lot, and I owe a lot of like the growth to the show. But also just like the work that I've done. I'm really proud of how the journey to finding like my sound has been going and is still going. But that was the first song that I was like, wow, like I think I can do this. Like, I think this is possible for me. And yeah, ever since then, it's just been kind of like a narrowing in on, okay, I like this and I don't like this. The first baby EP that I put out was kind of a free for all for me. I did it with a producer that I had a mutual friend with from the church that I grew up at. And he reached out and wanted to work together, and we just clicked and we wrote some songs, and I loved all of them. And it was just really cool to be able to like dabble in each song had its own thing and its own kind of inspiration from different people and genres and things like that. And so it's been cool to kind of narrow in. And Forbidden, I love that song. It's so awesome when I get to say like I genuinely love my songs. I know a lot of artists don't feel that way, but I've done my best to like really feel that way.
No, I mean we spent 5 years just getting to the point where we can enjoy our shit, you know. So it's and it's one thing to make a song that other people find good, and another thing to make a song that sounds like you, you know. In a lot of ways, and I love visiting. We're about to go to the East Coast, and I one of my favorite parts about visiting my family is like I got a beard and long hair, and nobody in my family thinks I look good, and they're a little bit vocal about it.
Gosh.
But what I love is that every time I look in the mirror, I look like myself. And so like sometimes you're not what you identify with is not going to be necessarily congruous with like what somebody's expecting, right? You know. But sometimes they do line up really, really nicely, as is the case with Forbidden. One of the things that when we're writing we really talk about is about creating kind of like the game of the song. And, you know, if you're going to have a concept, how do you use your real estate from the verse to the chorus to make sure that the concept makes sense and is outlined and can be approached from different angles and all that stuff? Because I think that too often we'll hear a song where you can tell they really like the title, or they had a sort of loose idea for a concept, but that all the building blocks, you know, it's not satisfying. It's like, you know, you name the movie something and they say that line in the movie, but then every narrative arc of the movie doesn't get to what that title means. And what I really love about Forbidden is that you set up the scenario in verse 1 and in the pre. Like you set up this sort of specific case, you know, the Jesse's girl of it. You know, you set up the friend having a crush on somebody. You set all of that up. You put all the pieces there so that when you get to the chorus, it's not just that you're singing the word forbidden. We understand what is forbidden, why it's forbidden, the stakes of it. You even say it in the chorus that like you would, you know, lose a friend. Are you worth losing a friend? Like, and having all of those things it's just so satisfying. And for anybody who writes and is listening, like if you have a great concept, you have a responsibility to your verse. Yeah, maybe make your chorus great, sure. But you know, if your concept is strong, your chorus could be one fucking word that you just sing really, really loud. If you've established the context, that like, especially if your concept's good, your verses matter.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to commend you for that. It's just really great writing. Yeah.
Thank you. I really pulled inspiration from Maggie Rogers and Julia Michaels.
I was about to say Julia Michaels does that setup shit so well.
Oh my gosh, her song "I Miss You" with that. I don't know. She collaborated with another group of people.
Clean Bandit.
Yes, Clean Bandit. Yes, and it's just like. The verse is so wordy and so specific. And then the chorus is literally just, I miss you. Oh, I miss you. Like,
you could not pull that off without a really good verse.
You could not. So I always think back to that when I'm writing verses now. I'm like, okay, how would I? Because people love this, like being specific. People love that. And it is so interesting how people can relate more to a specific thing that seems unrelatable than to something that's very vague, you know?
Well, and I think people oftentimes feel very intimidated by the fact that like, they're like, oh, you know, maybe that concept, you know, is too vague. But you can have a used concept that you twist in 8 different directions. Or, you know, sometimes people are like, well, I'm just going to write vague because I don't want to get too specific. But you're putting so much money on you're leaving so much money on the table, not exploring all the sort of avenues and angles that you can get out of having this specific context that we've all, of course, been in,
Yeah.
The irony of specificity is that like we're all the same monkey. We've all done the same shit. Like we've all liked somebody who our friends have also liked and have, for better or worse, like called dibs,
Yeah. Yeah, with Forbidden, that was kind of the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And it's what's funny too is that it's a concept that like, you think like guys do that a lot, but of course like everybody does it, like it's not about objectifying, it's not about ownership, it's about feelings and not hurting people's feelings,
Yes.
the bro code, the whatever,
Yeah.
I've experienced it in my high school friend group, and I've been on either side of it, it's universal. And yet you can create the specific stakes, We're not looking at our TV shows like, oh, those stakes are too specific. TV shows, of course, have the real estate for it, but they create a scenario in which you care so that there's a payoff emotionally. One of my favorite things that has come out in the last, couple of years is The Haunting of Hill House. Have I been in a haunted house with my 5 other siblings? No.
But it's about grief, and we've all experienced grief.
It's about grief and family.
It's how
Family
you
trauma.
feel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, even with like referencing that song by Julie Michaels, like I never broke up with someone who was in Cabo hanging with their brother,
Yeah.
wishing that I was their bottle.
No,
So you know what I
exactly.
mean? Like I've never been in that situation, but I know how that feels. And like that's what makes me love the song and relate to the song, even though I actually don't relate to the song at all. Which is
Well,
so cool.
I think that so often, like when we're writing stuff, we forget that like the job of entertainment is to create stakes that people don't know. We introduce them
Yeah,
to our stakes.
good.
Like we bring them into our world. We don't need to appeal to them by writing June Moon Spoon shit that is vague enough to like imprint yourself onto.
I loved what you said about like leaving money on the table by not being specific, because I think that's the beauty of being a creative at all is it's a journey. And I mean, at one point maybe I wasn't willing to take some of that and run with it. I probably was a little bit more vague when I was beginning to songwrite, but now it's like understanding what I resonate with and understanding like, no, it's actually okay to be vulnerable. Like you're allowed to do that. And if someone doesn't relate, then they don't relate. And that's okay. I think a lot of it for me growing up, I don't know if it's, I think all of us can relate to this, but especially as a woman too, like the idea of people pleasing. I don't want to be too much of this. I don't want to be too much of that, or I don't want to share too much. I want to be mysterious, or I want to be this. And it's like, actually, I'm just going to be myself and I'm not going to worry about it, because someone, at least one person could relate to this in a certain way. But if not, then I do. And that has to be enough a lot of the time, because otherwise I won't write. You know what I mean?
Completely. And when I say like leaving money on the table, I don't even necessarily mean real money. Like I think that, and I mean, sometimes it is real money because if you're writing a generic song versus a specific song, you could potentially just not have it be a good song because it is so generic. So you are leaving money on the table in that sense. But I also mean leaving money on the table emotionally. Like if you want the pot, if you want the money on the table, what that means isn't being rich. It doesn't mean being famous. It means having money on your terms. It means being famous on your terms. It means getting the success, not just for the sake of having it, but in the way you want it, so that you're not successful for being the Alexa that fans of The Voice wanted, or men wanted, or you think somebody else wants, but getting success as you. And that's the money I'm talking about that you're leaving on the table, is by not being authentic to yourself because you don't think that you can create and introduce people to your own stakes and invite them into your world,
So good. Yeah, and then it goes back to how what did you say? Like we're all one monkey or something.
We're all
like
the same
that.
monkey. We're all just the same monkey.
Yeah. And I think trusting in that too is really good. But then being it doesn't matter. I could write a song that everyone could relate to, but if I don't relate to it, then what am I doing it for? And I mean, I could say I'm doing it for other people so they can connect. But if I'm not actually showing up as myself, then I'm losing something, because I can't actually connect with these people on the same level.
And I think that we forget that we're also classics. Like I think that we forget that like the rules of classics also apply. Like, do we relate to Hallelujah? You know, like of course we do, but does it make any fucking sense when you're first when you're first introduced to it? You know, David and the chords, and like I'm not that religious, or and then by the time you get to like Baby I've Been Here Before, or you know, All I've Ever Learned from Love was How to Shoot Somebody Who Outdrew You, then it was all worth it. You know, he created the world that you step into. Does Eleanor Rigby, like, are those relatable lyrics that we've all experienced? I've never met Eleanor Rigby, who puts her face in the jar by the door, but I mean, who is it for? But we all felt it. We all feel these songs, and I think that we forget that they create the context. I heard "Where's My Mind" in the cafe this morning, and I'm just like, a song like "Where's My Mind"? What's I don't fucking know.
So relatable,
and yet we're screaming that song.
What I love about all three of those examples too is that it's the thing we were just talking about, where the verses are hyper specific, but then there's a chorus that's just that is something that you can latch onto. Like, "Where is my mind? Hallelujah."
Look at all the lonely
people.
Yeah. And so that's the thing that I'm like playing at, is like they create the world we live in. It's not the songwriter's responsibility to make that world palatable. It's the listener's responsibility to want to venture into that world. And we have to trust that they want to.
Right.
And I think they always want to. I think we watch TV shows because we want to understand Squid Game and understand Queen's Gambit and like whatever, like we want to be lost in something that isn't ourselves.
Right.
The irony is that we listen to things and we watch things because we want to escape from ourselves, and yet we feel like the content that we're supposed to have is relatable. It's this weird double-sided thing, you know?
Yeah. A friend showed me a song today by Taylor Swift that I hadn't heard yet, and I was listening, and as I was listening, you know, I feel like a lot of times we're looking for and we're listening for what we want to hear, what we want to see. And so I'll take a piece of advice that maybe someone gave me, and it will mean something completely different to me than somebody else. But this song, for example, it was, you know, she applied it to her love life, and I was listening and I was like, okay, I want to have her ears because I want to listen to what she's feeling. But at the same time, if I were to listen to it on my own in the car or something, I would pull something completely different from it and be like, actually, it's about this. Because for me, it's about this, and for her, it's about something else. And I think that's really special, too. And maybe a song, like with Forbidden, for example, people have come up to me and told me, like, oh my gosh, yeah, like, this song was about a guy that my friend liked, and I didn't want to lose her. But then someone else was like, this was about a guy that my friend liked, and I didn't want to lose him. And it's interesting because no one knows which one's the friend.
You just
know
present
what I mean?
the question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's just cool. And I've had other songs where there's like a line where it could go either way, but I think that's up to the listener to decide what they hear in it.
I think obviously the takeaway being the obvious, like be true to yourself. But I think that the more that you can talk about it, this is the math of being true to yourself. This is the logic behind the statement. Here are all these reasons why it doesn't make sense not to, you know?
Right.
And there's the money on the table, you know? Do you have a lyric, speaking of, from Forbidden that unlocks the song for you?
I think it was the first line, "You Were the Life of the Party." I really liked that. I actually kind of stole a chord progression from a song that I really liked at the time and sped it up and, you know, moved it around and stuff.
Hey, steal like an artist.
Yeah, but like it was cool because I wanted to learn that song, and then I was like, actually, I think I'm going to use these chords, and it was so simple. But sometimes, well, for me writing, sometimes I have a melody, and then I'll have lyrics in the concept, or other times I'll start with chords and go the opposite direction. But this one, it was the first line, "You were the life of the party. Everybody wanted a piece of you."
You were the life of the party. Everybody wanted a piece of you.
And then it was the bridge. "Maybe I want you because I just can't have you." That part.
Maybe I want you because I just can't have you. Maybe I want you because I just can't have you. You don't even know me. You never will.
Because growing up, my mom would always tell me there's a thrill involved when you want something that you can't have. You know, it's like when you see a do not touch sign as a kid, you are now suddenly tempted to touch it. And so it's just like, oh, I didn't know I had that option. You know what I mean? I didn't even want to touch it. Now I do. And so it's just, yeah, that line was probably my favorite.
Almost like the entire philosophy behind sosh meed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, full circle.
Yeah.
We're back.
It's like a Times Square billboard, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
How about you guys? When did you guys start songwriting? What was that like for you?
Is she allowed to ask
Once
questions?
again, this is that-
This
Am I
is
allowed?
against the
I don't know
rules.
about
I'm so curious though.
When did we start writing songs? Okay. Together or separately?
Sure, both.
Okay, well,
I'm sorry. I'm breaking the rules.
leave. Not allowed.
Okay, bye.
Well, so my dad was very musical, and I grew up with like classic rock and whatnot, but I didn't entirely understand the kind of concept of songwriting. Like I kind
Mhm.
of just thought that like songs were always there.
Interesting.
And
I
I
like
think
that.
a lot of it had to do with the fact that like my grandmother played classical piano, and I went to temple. I'm Jewish, and then my dad would play classic rock, and my mom would listen to Broadway, and all of these things. You don't fully get the sense that the person, other than maybe classic rock, you don't get the sense that the person who's singing it made it.
Hmm.
Like if you think about prayers, or if you think about like Broadway shows, like the people, or even classical music, nobody who's playing it was the one who wrote it, because it is that's the nature of it. It's these things that were passed down. So I thought that all music was kind of like passed down for a long time, which I know is kind of a crazy way of thinking about it, but that was true for me. Like I just didn't understand the concept of people like writing stuff. And then when I was in 5th grade, I was asked to join like a band, and I started getting really discouraged because they loved the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they loved all these and 3 Days Grace, and they loved all these like kind of rock or punk bands, but none of them had keyboard players. And I felt like I was days away from getting kicked from this band. That was like my life. Like I loved being in a band. Like I felt so validated. So I kind of realized like, okay, well, if I can write the songs, there would be piano in it, and I could be the keyboardist in this band. And so I started writing. So I started writing songs, and I started writing songs. Like I would actually I took "Sugar We're Going Down" and then like counted the syllables and then replaced each word with the right syllables.
Gosh. Yeah.
But then eventually just kind of like got into a flow of just like kind of learning how to write. And my crush at the time wound up joining the band. She still is an amazing singer. So then I got that experience of writing songs because I couldn't sing when I was younger. So writing songs for somebody who could sing. And that kind of started the writing journey. From there, I would just write folk songs and all that kind of stuff, and I became a teenager and an adult in that process, but, and then we met at school. And then when we started Sleeping Lion, I was writing a lot of songs at the time about, I was going through like my first major breakup, and
Big ouchie.
yeah, and my parents were getting divorced around the same time.
Double ouchie.
And like, so I wrote a lot at the time about like how the sort of two were related as far as like about the ways that we think about relationships and growing up and all that stuff. So that wound up being like the songwriting component to our first record that we did together.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you for asking, even though
Okay.
you
Yeah, no,
broke the rules.
I'm so sorry.
It's a great question. And yeah, I've been playing music more or less my entire life. I started playing piano when I was 6, and I don't think I started writing until I picked up the guitar. My dad taught me a few chords when I was like 8, maybe. And one summer I was back home in Tennessee, and I wrote a song. I'm pretty sure the first song I ever wrote was about being really stressed to go to middle school. Like it was my first day in middle school, and I wrote a song about like being nervous, and I wrote it out on a piece of paper like with the guitar chords above it. Like I don't know if that paper exists anywhere, but I'm pretty sure that's the first song I ever wrote. And then, so in a sense, it was kind of always there. But my first real experience with like writing music was with my first band when I was around 14. The thing that I think back on, the thing I think is interesting about it is it was like we came up with this whole concept for a band, and we came up with a whole concept record before we like even made any music. Like we were just 3 friends, and we were hanging out one day, and we're like, we should like what if we told this story about pirates and betrayal and forgiveness? And we came up with this entire like novella kind of story.
That's incredible.
And then we wrote an album that told that story in like 13 songs, and that was like the first thing I ever produced. It was like, I downloaded GarageBand. I got my first electric guitar and like started working on this music, and that was really the thing that gave me the bug to like do music. And I think the thing that I like about that now that I'm like, this was like 10 years ago now, and I have a lot of more perspective and I do this for a living now, is that the impetus for it was like telling a story. And that's the thing that I like sort of coming back to.
So good.
And I sort of fell in love with capital S songwriting in college, because I didn't really think of it as songwriting before. Like when I was just making music with my friends and telling these stories, and it was kind of in good fun and sort of comedic, but I didn't really think about the craft of what it means to write a good song until I got to college and learned that pop music wasn't stupid, that it was actually really, really cool. And that's how I sort of got involved in like the songwriting community at Berkeley. Then ever since then, I've just like really wanted to be a good songwriter, and spent the last couple years just like, I feel like with every passing year, I deepen the relationship with like what it means to like write a really good song, and now it's just like something that I'm very conscious of and spend a lot of time thinking about.
Yeah,
want to get really.
Isn't
good
it funny how pop music isn't cool until
it is.
You're not around people that think it's not cool, and all of a sudden it's cool.
It's like
that's
the
how
coolest
I
thing in the world.
felt going through high school. I really liked Andy Grammer and like Ben Rector and Kelly Clarkson. I mean, even in like middle school, like those were the people that I listened to. But none of my friends in high school, they were always like Rush and like different, I don't know, just bands I'd never really.
Well, my friends love dubstep. My friends love like dubstep,
Yeah.
and like the irony is that wound up being a mainstream. They love like house and dubstep and stuff. I remember like when I first like really fell in love with pop music, I like sat him down and explained like the complexity of Closer by the Chainsmokers.
Oh my gosh.
Like how it's like a perfect fucking song.
That's so awesome. Yeah. I grew up listening to my dad's classic rock as well, and then my mom really liked country. And it's so funny now because when I songwrite, I still have little innuendos like that with Forbidden. People have come up to me like, it's a great country pop song, and I'm like, yeah, it's a pop song.
Yeah,
but I mean, I can see it if the way that I sung it sounded that
well,
way.
there is a little bit of a country to it, but I think that it's like, I mean, we don't adhere to any genre rules ever. Like, it's just part of the soup of it, you know?
Good soup.
Good soup.
Sorry.
I'm over here having like a little existential panic because Noah's like, I got into songwriting to tell a story, and I'm still trying to tell that story. And I'm like, I got into songwriting so I could be included and not get kicked out of the room, and I'm still writing to be included and not get kicked out of the room.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like freaking, I'm like gonna cry.
Pausing the podcast to shout out our sponsor, New Wave.
No, I've been drinking coffee my entire life.
You know, as a Roman, same.
As a New Yorker, absolutely.
It's our birthright.
It's our birthright. We came out of the womb drinking coffee.
Fully caffeinated.
And the thing is that we're not getting any younger.
That's true.
And we're not getting any less anxious.
Oh, man, that's true too.
I'll say I have loved coffee my whole life, but lately it hasn't really been agreeing with me.
How so?
Unfortunately, when I drink coffee now, I just start feeling very agitated, very anxious. And I've been looking around for alternatives that don't make my heart just beat out of my chest while I'm in the middle of working. And that's how we stumbled upon New Wave. New Wave's Flow State Coffee is an organic ground coffee meant to lower anxiety, improve brain function, and support creativity. With L-theanine and raw cacao, Flow State Coffee is meant to feel like a cup of hot chocolate or tea while giving the energy of coffee.
And now, through Talking Lion, you can try a couple cups of your own.
If you go to their website, newwave.co, that's N-O-O wave.co, you can use the code BrewingLion for 10% off your first order. We hope you get a creative boost and find your flow state.
Now, back to the show.
It's so interesting. Why did I start writing? The first song that I ever wrote, now I gotta think about it. Maybe I'll have one too.
Right. Do you remember the name of the first song you ever wrote?
Well, it was, oh my God.
Because mine was called...
it was for a reflections project.
Nice.
You know, like the school thing, you know? Did you ever have that?
No.
It was like a project, and they had like a theme every year, and so you could do something for it, and then if it was good enough, it would go to like the state level or like the national level or whatever.
No, grew up in Europe.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, so I wrote a song for it, and the theme was like helping the world or something. You know, it was a time of like Disney Channel's Let's Save the Planet and all that kind of stuff. And so I wrote a song called Change the World. And I think I even made a little music video for it. My dad was on to cameras and still is and all that stuff. But it was like, change the world, change the world. And it's so funny. Get on your knees. It's time to plant some trees. It was
Nice.
I was in 5th grade.
Wow.
It
Very
was
good.
something like that. But then the vocal teacher that I had growing up, she was like, oh, it was through my church. And so she was like, oh, write a song based on Psalm 100. And then I didn't really fully think about how songs were created. I kind of just thought they existed. I didn't really think much about it until high school. I took a songwriting class and just like fell in love with storytelling and the idea of it. And so it's kind of funny. I think maybe there's a part of me that maybe songwrites still because
You want to change
I
the
should.
world?
Well, I mean, that too. I mean, why not? Might as well. 2 birds, 1 stone.
You just remember me, not for the first song I ever wrote, but I did make a music video when I was like like a freshman, and some folks found it and like mercilessly bullied me for it to the point where I
No.
deleted it. I didn't like hide it on YouTube. I fucking deleted it.
Damn.
Oh my gosh.
In their defense, like
I'm ready to hear this.
in their defense, like it was a lot of like me with a candle reading Catcher in the Rye, like, and like kind of just like sulking like in the hallway outside of my bedroom, like, and then there was like a stop motion midway through, like in the instrumental section of the song, there was like a stop motion of a candle melting down, and to be fair, I would have bullied that kid.
Oh no. No, that sounds so creative and I wouldn't have thought of that. That's awesome. Oh, there was something that you said that I wanted to
You wouldn't have thought of that because there was nothing to think of. There wasn't a thought in that.
Well,
It was vibes.
You had to think, you had
It
to
was ahead of
go,
its
you had to
time.
go, oh, you know what's going to be really good? If I get a candle and I do this stop motion of this candle as it's burning. You had to think that. Isn't that so funny how like everything, that's something that has
I think
really
every kid.
inspired me.
I'm so glad every kid had GarageBand. No kid should have iMovie.
Yeah, that's true.
iMovie, you should be 18 years
Dangerous.
or older to ride this ride.
Oh my god.
Something that really has inspired me as a creative is the fact and the idea even that everything at one time was an idea. Like someone had to invent this table and someone had to think about this mic stand thing and someone had to invent this chair, and it's just kind of cool to think about how, oh no, the possibilities are endless. Like you could create anything, and that has kind of like taken the cap off of my creative abilities because now I'm able to like think bigger and dream bigger, and even as far as like goals, like have bigger goals, because I was listening to a podcast or something a while ago, and maybe it was for like a church service or something, and the pastor or the guy just said, it's your job to believe and it's God's job to provide the result. So like I could believe for the biggest thing ever and I'm going to be content whether it happens or not. But it's so cool because I don't have to worry about what the result is. I can just dream big and like put in the work to maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But it's just kind of cool to be able to think creatively and out of the box and not be so narrow-minded about things.
Well, and you say, you know, this table was an idea and these mics were an idea. You know, I think of it sometimes even further that like we all were ideas at one
Mhm.
point, you know, that our parents, by virtue of being parents, had given some thought, hopefully, to being parents, you know, and imagine what that experience would be like. This podcast, I found a journal from 2015 that said hypothetical Sleeping Lion podcast, you know, and then like it had Jackie Foster on it.
Mhm.
And it had, you know, it had some of our friends on it and whatnot. And now we're here doing this podcast. Like
so good.
even the things that aren't tangible started as ideas, and you know these outcomes that we have, like of meeting people, you know, like they're all ideas. And yeah, I don't know, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't believe in much, but I do believe in like a lot of chaos, you know, and about how we kind of make sense of variance, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think there's also power in writing things down
Yeah.
too,
Mhm.
because it takes it from an idea to a vision. And it's like, oh, like I can see this happening. And the ability to actually say that you can see it with your eyes closed, maybe it's just cool because now you can dream for things and hope for things, and hope maybe isn't a strategy, but it is a driving factor of like, oh, not only can I believe for this and dream for this and have vision for it, but I hope for it. And that changes your mentality so much because it becomes a positive thing in a journey.
Because hope isn't a strategy, but hope is a filter.
Yeah.
And you need filters to make sense of the noise. You know, like I think that, yeah, you know, hope isn't like a plan, but it does help you focus on what opportunities are worth taking, what aren't. And ultimately, that's what drives you, you know? What we're doing is driving into the sun. And like everything that we hope and want are the roadmaps and the sunglasses and the filters that make all of that intensity usable, you know, and have some direction to it. So yeah, I'm with you.
I love that. Thank you guys both for sharing.
Of course.
I know, sorry, both of us, but
no, I mean, you know, I mean,
that's
you're
awesome.
not allowed to hear ever again, but that's fine. Yeah.
Dang it. Do I get to be on the wall still?
No.
They look
No,
cool.
you forfeited all rights to
Darn it.
any more of our
my gosh.
resources.
There was something else that you said that I really liked. You were talking about how songs are created, and you mentioned like they're passed down or something, or like songs or prayers or whatever. I mean,
they were always there in a sense.
Yeah, like they were always there. But it's cool because I mean, even as far as like prayers go, I'm a Christian. I'm a spiritual person, and so like looking at, okay, what does this say about like this prayer in the church or whatever? I can take it and I can go, actually, well, like I want to pray for this too and this too, and I can make it my own, and it becomes a relationship, and it becomes mine in a way, which is so similar with songwriting too. Like for example, with Forbidden, taking that chord progression from a different song and going, I want to do this with it and change it to this and add this to it, and all of a sudden it becomes a completely different song and a whole different experience. And that's so special to be able to get inspiration from other people. I was telling someone a while ago the difference between inspiration and comparison. Inspiration is based off of, wow, I love this for them, and I would love to see that for me, versus I don't want that for them, and it's not going to happen for me. Like it's just so interesting how like it's such a fine line too.
Well, I've never heard it put so clean. I love that.
That's really
because you could comparison a lot of times has to do with wanting control. Like I could be happy for them in this, and at the same time like be jealous. But I don't want to be jealous. I want to encourage other people, because if they win, I win. And someday, if that does happen for me, if something, whatever happens for me, I'm going to want people in my corner. You know what I mean? We shouldn't ever have to go through things alone. And I think there's something really special about making sure that that is a very clear boundary. Like, no, I am inspired by this person, and that is positive, versus like, dang, like if only I could have what they have, or if only I could be where they're at. So much worse for my mental health.
I mean, it's just how you stay in this. It's like it's how you have the mental to stay in this. I want to talk about one more of your song real quick, because Say Something is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Again, you set up the stakes.
Thank you.
There are the stakes, and then the chorus rocks.
Braver on the phone than face to face. Playing hard to get isn't my thing. You're cool, but I don't wanna overthink. If you wanted me, you'd say something. Taking up all my energy, wishing you would make a move on me. You're cool, but I don't wanna overthink. If you wanted me, you'd say something.
Tell me about writing that song, and if there's like a line that stands out to you in that song as well, because that's a jam and a bop.
Thank you. Well, funny story. If anyone has ever gone to one of my shows, I always tell this story. But a song that I'd released previously in January of this year, so 2021, it was about a guy that I had a big face crush on. I didn't really know much about him, but I thought he was cute. I thought he was funny.
Face crush. I've never heard that before.
And I had probably all of 4 conversations with the guy, but he was at a group thing with like some friends one night, and he was like being kind of flirty, and I couldn't tell if it was like directed at me or if it was just his personality, again, because I did not know him. very well, if at all.
He was just a nice face.
Yeah, and he was just funny and cute. And so anyways, I went home because I didn't want to overthink about it, which I did anyways. And I like started writing a song. And then posted it on my Instagram story, because duh, he would get the hint somehow, right? Because I posted on my Instagram story. A lot of people do that. But I was like, okay, maybe he'll respond, maybe he won't. He ended up like DMing me. He was like, oh, you should finish this song. And I was like, there's no way he meant that in the way that I wanted him to mean that. So I just kind of brushed it off. And then, long story short, I finished it. I'm about to put it out. I have a release party over Zoom. And there's one person in the chat who has a fake name. And there's cameras off. And they use the name Michael Scarn from The Office.
Yeah.
As a joke. And I was like, okay, like people don't want to have their information on the internet. That's fine. I get it. But they wanted to be a part of it. Sure. At the end of the Zoom, someone asked me about lyrics and how I came up with this song. And I was like, this is a safe space. So then I just kind of like spilled the beans a little bit. I didn't say his name, but if anyone had known him in the group, they would have known it was him. And I called him a player and all these things.
No.
And then I know I'm regretting it, but I put the song out. And then 5 minutes after the Zoom ended, I get a text from this man and he's like, maybe he wasn't so much of a player as he just didn't know what was going on.
No.
Dash Michael Scarn. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
No.
And the thing that sucks is the end of the song goes, the truth is I'm spinning, but you'd never know. And now he knows, so I'm a liar.
Oh
and I
my
just
God.
I always have to get that off my chest
Wow.
whenever I tell people. Anyway, so the very next day, I had a session with someone I hadn't written before. His name is Gavin. And we were both talking about like that similar situation we were going through. And we're both introverts. And so it's just funny because I think anyone should be able to make the first move. But a lot of time, my fear of rejection takes over. And so there's that part of me. But then there's also the part of me that knows that I'm worth speaking up for. I'm worthy of that. And so like he should just do it, So then we started writing this song about like, I don't want to overthink about whether or not you like me. Just tell me. Just tell me if you like me. I'm not going to tell you, but you tell me.
Right.
So yeah. And then I finished it with the guy who produced it. His name's Aaron. He's produced a lot of my stuff. And yeah. And the rest is history.
That's
very fun.
That's wild. Also, what a move. That takes some gall. Like
I was trying to play him a little bit and I was like, well, what are you talking about? What? And he was like, in the Zoom. And I was like, I think you're onto me. And I was like, he's like, yeah, no. I was like, it's obvious. And I was like, dang it.
So was he? Did you blow it? Like, or did? Is this a meet cute story that we're hearing?
I think I said something. I don't remember. I deleted the conversation, but I think I said something like, "Well, nothing would have happened anyways." And he was like, "I guess we'll never know." And I was like, "You've got to be kidding." Thanks. And then I wrote another song about it.
Oh my God.
You should just like dump on him on this podcast episode too. Just really add to fuel to the
Oh my
fire.
gosh.
This guy's stalking your life, and he's just like, she can't say a nice fucking thing.
I don't know
thought
enough
she
about
liked
him.
me.
Oh my gosh. I thought very highly of him. And I still do. I don't have anything bad to say about him.
Other than he's a player, he's just a
Well, okay.
face.
No. It's just funny because I think a lot of times I will write songs from my imagination, and it's sometimes easier for me to write a song about someone I don't know than it is for me to write about someone I do know, because my imagination can kind of like fill in the blanks of what I want to be true about them based off of what I don't even know about them at all. And so like a lot of my most recent songs have been about that idea of like, okay, I don't know you at all, but here's what I think I know about you. And that's what that song was about, the one that I released in January. But then more recently, too, I've been writing about like the idea of, I actually don't know what I want. Maybe I want this. Maybe I want this. Actually, just kidding. I don't want any of it. And I'm indecisive in general as a human. And when it comes to relationships, that comes out a lot. So anyways, that's my spiel.
Pausing the podcast to remind you that we have a Patreon that you can subscribe to if you want to support the show.
If you're enjoying this episode, but you're thinking that you've got a burning question for an artist, or you just want to talk with us, or maybe you just want to mug with our faces, our Patreon's the way to go.
So go to patreon.com/talkinglion to subscribe.
Now back to the show. Alexa, are you ready for the question round?
The question round.
Oh, goodness. Okay, I think so.
The first step is the random question. What's the most beautiful place you've ever seen?
My family would always go on camping trips when I was growing up. And so I've seen a lot of like places. I really think Colorado is beautiful.
Yeah.
But the thing is with these kind of questions is I always end up giving you like 40 answers.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think
So number
Utah-
1, Colorado. Number 2.
I think Colorado's beautiful. I have some
Utah.
family there. I just like
Where in Colorado?
I have some that lives in Evergreen, Colorado, and then some that lives in Denver. Also, Utah. We went on a few trips as a family to like Zion National Park, which is awesome. And my last one, I'll say
Number 40.
Yosemite. I think Yosemite is beautiful. But also I love the beach. I'm easy to please, I feel like, in that way. So those are my 40 answers.
What about you, Noah?
Yeah, I was like trying to think what's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. That's so hard.
Yeah, motherfucker has like been all over Europe. Like,
Yeah, I haven't been out of the country, so you're gonna beat me there.
he's seen desktop wallpapers with
Oh
his
my
own
gosh.
eyes.
That's incredible. I love that for you.
I mean, I have this infatuation with Venice. I think there's just something.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, that's a fair
Yeah.
answer.
It's not a
Great
bad
answer.
answer, no.
I want to go to
Yeah.
Italy so bad.
Venice is beautiful.
I feel like Venice is beautiful. I think it's I mean, superlatives are tough. It's like, what's the most beautiful place? Like, I don't want to. I'm not leaving anyone out, am I? No, but I think if I had to pick, I'd probably pick Venice.
Yeah, Rome won't let you back.
Yeah. No, Rome is ugly.
That's fair.
Rome is ugly and dirty.
Oh no.
Mine popped into my head immediately, so I don't know what that says about any of this. But when I was 17, I went on a 21-day camping trip in Squamish, BC, in Canada. So my tent was at the base of the Squamish Chief, and it was just this beautiful, like, granite, like, ledge. And I went hiking one, like pretty much up one of, I think there are 3 peaks, and I hiked to the top of one of the peaks, and I slept at the top in a sleeping bag.
Oh my goodness.
With just some like strangers I met around the campsite. And when I woke up, the view was breathtaking. There's this lake near there that is like a shade of like turquoise I'd never seen and haven't seen since. And like the sun was just sort of peeking through the clouds, and it was just beautiful. I think about it a lot. It was just really, and I think the sort of blend of like the earned view is the reason why it sort of stood out for
Yeah.
me, of just like
That's so true.
having to kind of wake up into it. But
Right.
yeah, that's probably my spot.
That's awesome.
All right.
I love that.
Next
All
question.
right, next question. What is your phone background?
It's a graphic of the fruits of the spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
I don't know. I've never heard of the fruit of the spirit.
It's in the Bible. It's in
Oh, okay.
Galatians.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
We only get half of it. We only get half the Bible. Yeah. They
yeah.
chopped off the ending for us for some reason. Yeah.
I just like it because regardless of religion too, like I want to strive for those things. I want
Yeah.
the things that I do in my life to yield that kind of fruit. If it's love, if it's joy, if it's patience, if it's self-control, peace, those kind of things.
Next question. Do you have a non-musical hobby?
A non-musical hobby. Oh gosh. Whenever people ask me like, what do you do in your free time? I'm like, write songs.
Right.
I always want people to answer this kind of question for me because a lot of times I'm just going about my day and I don't really think about it. I like rollerblading, but
That's
I'm not good at it, but I like it.
That's the definition of a hobby.
Yeah. Sometimes I like cooking sometimes. I'm not much of a baker, but I like cooking. I like making food for my friends and stuff like that. I'm vegan too, so that's always fun. I can be like, oh, you can try this.
It helps you can make it too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. I live in a fifth wheel, a trailer that I renovated over
Oh, wow.
quarantine.
That's cool.
So it's kind of hard to cook in my little tiny oven, but it's fun still when it happens that way.
Very fun. All right.
probably the most important question you'll be asked on any podcast you'll ever be on,
Okay.
ever.
I'm scared.
All right. Would you
Be a
pirate?
What? Would I be a pirate?
Would you be
Yes.
a pirate?
For what?
Would you,
for Halloween.
For Halloween? Sure.
No, it's just in pirate times.
in pirate times, what's the alternative of being a pirate? Of not being like
This is
if
the
I
question
was.
that no one's ever asked.
She's asking all the
If
questions.
I
You're
wasn't,
not allowed.
hypotheticals are not my
Forbidden.
favorite ever.
Forbidden.
It's the fingers. Hypotheticals are hard for me. But if I wasn't a pirate, what would I be? Could I be a mermaid or something?
Fuck.
Shit, yeah, I guess.
I choose that.
What does that philosophically say about her?
I think she just destroyed the question, man. That's I
Pack
honestly
it up.
I don't even want to push
I want to
any
be a
further 'cause,
mermaid.
Show's over.
Would you be a pirate? I would be a mermaid.
I'd be a mermaid. That's why, you know, in you know, me jokingly railing against Team Pirate, the thing that always pops up in my head is like, oh, would you be a pirate? It's like in pirate times, like, no, I'd probably just try to be a musician. I'm a musician. Like,
Yeah.
like I would be doing the same thing I'm doing now. Like
I would be
Well,
a musician pirate.
I love that you've ruined the statistic now, because it used to be that we could be like, well, so and so percent was non and so percent was a pirate, and now we have and 1% and a 0.8% was
Mermaid.
fucking mermaid.
I love that so much. I will claim that 0.8% with my whole heart.
yeah,
It
no,
is
no
claimed.
further questions, honestly. I think
Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah. But further
Awesome.
questions.
further questions, different questions. Do you have any tattoos?
I don't have any tattoos. If I could get one though, it would be a cross on my thumb. It's so funny. My mom, I told her that I wanted a tattoo, and she was like, okay, well, draw it on yourself for a year
Mm-hmm.
and see if you still like it. So every day I would draw like a cross on my thumb with a Sharpie, and I did it for like a year, and then I just stopped. And I still want it, but I'm kind of a wimp. So
I'll do it.
how about you guys? Dang it, sorry. I
She's
keep doing
not
that.
allowed, yeah.
I keep forgetting it's a podcast and
Wow.
I'm being interviewed, which is a good thing. It feels like a good conversation.
I think
So
I
feel
haven't been
comfortable.
able to commit to any of it just because I'm I know myself.
Yeah, like I had at one point I wanted to get a map of Rome, like abstracted with like different little dots on like all the places that are important to me. But that's another one that kind of, I think in a similar way, I was just like, I don't actually know if I want that. Thought about getting a lantern from Venice. There's these lamp posts that I really like.
Mm.
It's just a really cool shape. Recently, I've been thinking about maybe getting a cardinal. Just 'cause I like, I have a project called Music for Birds, and that was the first song I wrote for it. And I'm like, that could be cool to get like a cool, like pretty, like I think I've entered into like, it used to be like, if I have to get a tattoo, it has to be super duper meaningful. But now I'm just like, maybe I just want like a pretty tattoo. Like maybe I just want something that looks cool, like a piece of art on my body. I've actually started to enter into that phase, and now it's just like, that'll probably cost like $400. There are better things to do with $400 right now. But like the mental game of like, oh, maybe I want a tattoo has recently shifted into like, oh, maybe I'll just get something cool.
Yeah.
But I'm like $400 plus the additional couple $100 of like talking to my therapist about like why it wasn't quite right.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, that's hard. I do think it's cool though when there is like a story behind it or
Yeah.
a meaning.
That's why we asked the
behind it.
question.
Yeah, a lot of people I know have tattoos just because they were cheap and they were cool. And
Yeah.
And
I
that's
think
the type
it's
of
fun.
person. That's the type of person who might be a mermaid.
Yeah. You gotta respect the
knows?
hustle of that.
They can join my Mermaid Club.
Whoa. See that she really is an entrepreneur. She's not just a mermaid.
Yeah, it's not just an answer anymore. It's a fucking club.
It's a community.
It's all inclusive.
That's so fun. All right. What was the first concert you ever attended?
It was for this band called For King and Country. I went with my boyfriend at the time in high school. No, that wasn't my first one. That's my second.
You would lie to us on our own podcast?
Do those like group like festival things count? Like those like I think it was I Heart something.
Oh.
I Heart Radio, one of those shows. It had like 5 Sauce and a bunch of people. I don't remember.
That's
One
fun.
of those. That was one of them. My favorite though, I think the coolest one that I've been to was Elton John on his farewell
Nice,
tour.
okay.
My aunt took me, and that was really fun.
That's very cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Can you recommend our listeners a movie, a book, and a TV show?
A book comes to mind quickest. It's this one called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Oh, yeah, we had to read it at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dropped out of college, so I didn't get book requirements like that, but I really liked it. I think I'm curious how you guys receive the book as students instead of just like getting it, like I'm curious how that was for you, but for me, I really enjoyed it and it kind of opened my mind up to different things that creatively. Yeah, that's the book I would recommend.
I recognize the importance of the book. I always have a hard time with prescriptive stuff. Like I think
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
exercises are super important. I just have never been that kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
So the book didn't really work for me, but I understand the person who it would work for.
Right. Yeah, it took me much longer than 12 weeks to finish the book because I would never do the tasks, but I always loved like the commentaries she would have and like the advice and the things. Like that's what I actually put to use more than the tasks or the whatever. I still do the morning pages every day. That has like become part of my rhythm, but yeah, I really like that book. And then her following books are great too. I think New Girl is hilarious. So maybe I'd say New Girl for a TV show.
That's great.
Or Friends. I like those kind of shows.
Yeah.
They're just like mindless, but also quite funny. I'm stumped on movie. Not a big movie watcher. My favorite movie though, all time, is Jumanji.
Ooh.
The original with Robin Williams.
That's fun.
So good. Maybe that one. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
great. If you haven't seen that,
Yeah.
definitely
It's a
check
great
it
movie.
out.
Crazy twist is that The Rock actually shows up in the original.
Oh
It's
my
it's a
gosh.
blink and you miss it cameo.
Imagine though, like
That'd be
they
so
made a
cool.
new version but edited.
It's actually identical to the old version. You just have one scene where Dwayne The Rock Johnson is like, it'd be fun to be in Jumanji one day.
All right. Do you have a scar with a story,
A scar with a story.
or are you unscathed?
Are you unscathed?
No, I have scars, but I don't like I have ones in my hands, but they're not like this was from the time that my finger got cut off. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
I mean,
they're not like big stories like that.
Stories don't
I do
really
have
big.
I do have a scar on my back. It is I had like okay, this is TMI. I had a mole on my back and it would bleed every time I would shower. It was just really not healthy. And so my mom was like, we need to get this checked out. So then I went to the doctor and they were like, let's remove it. So then my mom was like, okay. I was 12. And then the doctor removed it and then it came back as like a keloid. It's like scar tissue. And then removed it again and then it came back bigger. And now I have like this weird looking keloid thing on my back.
Oh.
So that's fun. My dermatologist, I don't even remember who it was, but yeah, that was frustrating.
All right. What are 3 thoughts you have at this very moment?
Very moment, right now.
3 thoughts. I don't like these kind of I'm probably going to go to the gym tonight. I have leftover pasta in my fridge. And 3. That's what I was thinking about. It's so funny because it's kind of not present. So I apologize for my thoughts being like, oh, what am I doing?
No, but that is always the question
That's
on Earth. Like, where is your mind? What are the little like? What's the stuff on the queue for your brain?
Yeah. Also, I'm kind of a fidgeter sometimes too. Like whenever I'm with my friends, we're at a restaurant or something, I will probably drink like 3 or 4 glasses of water just because I don't know what else to do with my hands. So like I'll be constantly like grabbing my water and sipping it and then putting it down, or like crossing my legs, uncrossing my legs, leaning one way or the other. So yeah, and sometimes I think about that. I'm like, oh, am I comfortable? Should I? Especially around new people.
I'm the
sometimes
same way. Except like we were having brunch like 2 weeks ago, and one of my friends got a video of me just like swirling the water in with my straw to make a cyclone. Like that's super normal. I'm 25. Like that's super normal behavior. But the podcast has actually helped a lot with some of my fidgeting because I am the one who has to edit it. So if I'm moving around to the point where it makes like a lot of sound, I'm the one who has to deal with that ultimately. So it's kind of taught me to like focus on a point. Like I've been keeping eye contact with you, and like I'll let my hands, my entire body, you see it, is crossed. Like I've just been, to kind of just like, the locus of all I'm just built different, guys.
Right.
Full circle. There it is again. I apologize for my fidgeting if you can hear it.
And lastly, what are you looking forward to?
So much. Does that count as an answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
looking forward to a lot. I think I've grown a lot in this here's my long answer. I think I've grown a lot in the last year. I've lived by myself in my little trailer. And it's been interesting kind of seeing loneliness from a different perspective of maybe not so much loneliness, but solitude, and being okay with it and growing in it and growing from it. I had never moved out before. Like that was my first time ever living on my own in a sense, like away from my family. And then also truly on my own, no roommates, nothing else like that.
And you built your space in a sense too.
I renovated it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was our family's trailer. We went camping in it a lot growing up, and my parents wanted to get a new one. So then I was like, oh, I'll renovate it and make it my own and live in it. Yeah. So I'm just excited. And it's so cool because I am able to travel if I want to, and like do other things. Like I can move out of that if I want to. Like I think there's a lot of possibilities of what the future holds, and I'm excited for new music. I have a song coming out next month, so I'm stoked about that.
What's it
And
called?
It's called Whiplash, and it's about the indecisiveness of dating, and especially in today's culture. But
I miss the old days when you used to circle around a fire, Tinder, if you will. You know, we would all meet up at the Bumblebee Hive.
So good. Is there one for Hinge? Do you have an?
It's just a door. We all
It's
just
a door. Oh gosh. Yeah, but I'm excited, and I think next year is gonna be one of a lot of music too, and just meeting new people and getting to collaborate. Freaking love collaborations. So yeah.
Well, in that spirit, Alexa, it is so nice to finally meet you, and
Yes.
I'm looking forward to collaborating. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon.
Taking up all my energy, wishing you would make a move on me. You're cool, but I don't wanna overthink. If you wanted me, you'd say something. 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 If you wanted me, you'd say something.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talking Lion.
We would like to thank New Wave, The Truffleist, and Isotope for their support of Talking Lion.
If you'd like to show your support, ask our guests your questions, talk to us on Discord, and get a shout out at the end of each episode, subscribe to our Patreon over at patreon.com/talkinglion.
Thank you for listening, and see you next time.